the panelist one.
This is David Gamble. Can y'all hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Okay, thank you. I wasn't sure if I had my connection right.
Good afternoon, everyone. We're just trying to get one more member on and then we'll get started.
I'm in. This is Bruce Alford. I made it. I guess I'm like. Hello. Hello.
Hey, Mr. Bruce, we've got you, I think.
All right. That sounds good.
Good.
Recording in progress.
Are you waiting?
Yeah, you can tell Matthew we're ready to start.
We're on. All right, Chairman Marsh, we're ready to start.
Okay, hey, good afternoon. Yes, Scott, we've got everyone on.
We do, sir. We have all 10 board members on, and we got a few staff in the room. I think we're ready to go. I just want to remind everybody to, make sure and keep your camera, your audio muted, until you're speaking. We don't want to catch something in the background by accident. And I think we're ready to start, Mr. Chairman.
Okay, thanks, Scott. Like I said, good afternoon, and I'll call the special called board meeting of the Arkansas State Plant Board to order. I think the first thing we'll do is just have a roll call I'll call on you, introduce yourself, and just so we know everyone's here. So I'll start with Mr. Bruce Alford.
Bruce Alford, Lafayette County, and I represent Forage.
Thank you. Mr. David Gamble. Hey, Mr. David, you're muted. I can't hear you.
How about now?
Yes, sir.
Yes, David Gamble, Mississippi County, Wheat and Feed Grains.
Thank you. Dr. Ken Core.
I'm Ken Korth, representing University of Arkansas System Division of Agriculture.
Thank you. Mr. Reynold Meyer.
Meyer Udor, representing Arkansas Cotton.
Thanks, Reynold. Mr. Matt Miles.
Matt Miles from McGee, Arkansas, representing the soybean farmer.
Thank you, Mr. Miles. Mr. Nathan Reed.
Nathan Reed, Lee County, Arkansas. I represent farmer at large position.
Thank you, Mr. Reed. Mr. Travis Center.
Yeah, Travis Center, OCL Arkansas, representing farmers at large.
Thank you, Travis. Dr. Nathan Slayton.
Nathan Slayton, representing the University of Arkansas System Division of Agriculture.
All right. Thank you, Dr. Slayton, and Mr. Sam Stuckey.
Sam Stuckey from Crittenden County, representing cotton farmers.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Sam. I think that's everyone. I'm Matthew Marsh. I'm from Little Rock. I represent the Arkansas rice growers. I'm just going to let Scott or Wade kind of take over and tell us why we're meeting today, and give us an overview of what we're discussing. So either one of you that like to fill us all in.
Okay, thank you, Matthew. Members of the board, this is Wade Hodge, counsel for the department. Sometime last fall, there were communications between the department and the EPA regarding label discussions between the EPA and the manufacturers of dicamba. And we were told at that time to keep those, any communications regarding this, strictly confidential. And throughout the process, your role in the decision-making for the use of dicamba here in Arkansas was also discussed. At no time was the department ever informed by the EPA that this new label proposal was what you might call an opt-in or opt-out. In other words, that it was going to be for a few states only. We were under the impression that EPA and the manufacturers were in discussions regarding a nationwide label. And we were never told that unless we filed a specific objection, that would be considered a tacit agreement to the proposal. So now we've been informed that a June 12 cutoff date for 5 states is proposed. And we've been told that we are one of those states because we did not object. And as I said earlier, we were never told that this was going to be only for a few states. We were always under the impression that it was a nationwide effort. And we were never told that any formal objection would be needed. We have once again informed the EPA of your role in the decision-making process here. And so the matter before the board today is whether you want to agree for a June 12 cutoff date for the use of dicamba in Arkansas, or whether you do not agree with that. Scott, does that fairly well state the issue?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So that's the matter before you, Mr. Chairman, and that's That's really the only matter before you today. We just need to know, we need to inform the EPA that the plant board either says, okay, we're good with the June 12th cutoff date for dicamba in Arkansas, or no, we are not in agreement with that date. So I'll turn it back to you.
Okay, thank you, Wade. Just so we're clear, if we say, yes, we do agree, or we're going to accept the EPA's new cutoff date, then everything else about our rule stays the same. It's just the date change. If we say no, we don't accept the EPA's new cutoff date, we keep our existing date of June 30th and everything stays the same. So
That's
I guess that's kind of that's the yes or no, up or down, I guess, kind of decision we have now. I think it's valid for discussion and hear everyone's thoughts on the issue. And has there been any, or is there any representative from the EPA or the manufacturer that give us some information of what led them to maybe shortening the cutoff date to June 12th? Do we have any representative or comments from the manufacturer or EPA?
We don't have any. I'm not sure. I don't believe there's anyone from the EPA that is attending, and I'm not sure if there's any of the manufacturers represented. You know, if there is, I suppose we could ask them to raise their hand, and then we could move them over from the attendee list to the participant list if we wanted to do that.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes, who speak?
Sam Stuckey.
Oh, I understand.
Okay, I got a few things I want to say about this. It's my understanding from a little bit of research I've done the last couple of days that aside from the June 12th, it will move the soybean cutoff, regardless of the date, from a R1, which is bloom, to a V4, which is barely a small bean, and it would only allow possibly one dicamba spray at best. And on the cotton, it's first pinhead square, and on May 1 planting date, assuming you get active emergence, it could be as early as the 21st day of May or the first day of June when that cutoff would occur. My consultant has told me that Liberty is not really an option to fill that gap because the crop will be too small, and the resistance was noted in Tom Barber's comments on February 7th, 21, resistance in 2019 in Crittenden County and resistance in Mississippi County in 2020 for glyphosate resistance. I've got a letter that I sent to that I sent to Scott Bray. Let me pull it up, and I want to share that. It's from the this is to the state plant board members, care of Sam Stuckey, secretary. Let me turn my phone. All right. Members of the board, Arkansas Agriculture Consultants Association strongly supports the current Arkansas rules and regulations pertaining to the use of labeled dicamba containing the products for use in DT crops. Any new label changes at this point in the growing season could prove to be detrimental for the plans that are already in place for the year's growing season and future growing seasons in Arkansas. So I was asked to share that, and just did. And I would like to make a motion that we don't accept the rule change. There's a lot of other reasons that I didn't get into, but I will.
Sam, David Gamble, I'll second that motion.
Thank you.
And I'd like to make a comment. Matt Miles. I've already bought, I paid for seed in October, November. That's not flex soybean seed. I think this is way too late in the game to try to make us change our plans when we've already made financial obligations for that type of seed.
Yes, sir. David Gamble again. I totally agree. And haven't we already, as a board, voted on a June 30th cutoff for this year?
David, I'd like to comment on that. This is Sam Stuckey again. I think because there was no change or no petition to change, we just rolled in from the previous year rule, and which we had voted on in the past to accept the June 30th.
I guess it's maybe out of the scope. I know it's an either or vote, but is there any chance that we vote it down that we could get our current June 30th cutoff and what we've adopted in Arkansas to be on the federal label for Arkansas? Is that a possibility if we vote this down?
That would probably be something we need to talk to with the EPA and the manufacturers. I certainly couldn't answer that.
Yeah, well, to me, I think that's a path we pursue. Maybe give a little bit more teeth to our state regulations, and because we fought this out and figured it out so far. I agree with them that it's pretty late in the game to be cutting us off at the knees. Cutting our Arkansas farmer off the knees with just right before we go into a growing season.
Yeah, thank you, Nathan. And this is probably a question for Scott, or is Sam brought it up. I don't know if maybe Scott's had some more conversation with the manufacturers, but he, Mr. Sam brought up there may be some other changes to the federal label. Is that going to be, are those changes going to be on the label regardless of whether we accept the cutoff date or not, or is the label staying exactly the same would be for Arkansas and the other states outside of the ones that I guess the manufacturers already mentioned that they're going to change it to June 12th cutoff date for them. Yeah, so that my question is the label saying exactly the same regardless whether we say yes, we accept the cutoff date, or no, we want to keep our cutoff date? Do you have any information for that way, Scott?
It's understanding, Mr. Chairman, and again, it's my understanding that there is an opt-in, opt-out option that we were previously aware of. And it's also my understanding that if Arkansas opts out, we maintain the same label we've had the last couple of years, nothing changes.
Okay, good. Thank you. I just wanted to make sure we were clear there that even if we opted out and kept our same cutoff date, we didn't have the label changes for growth stage. So that would definitely change the game up quite a bit. Any more comments, questions on the I guess we've got a motion and a second to
Matthew.
Go ahead. Yes, sir, Dr. Slayton.
Nathan Slayton. Really, I've got one comment and a question. I just did want to follow up Mr. Hodges' opening comments and say that, last week I had started getting questions from our weed scientist who were seeing social media posts about this and getting questions from stakeholders about a dicamba cutoff change. And, we were completely unaware of this. It is not something that originated from our request. And, the information that was posted on social media, we don't even know where the source came from. About that. So actually, my question I'll get to in just a minute, but I do want to take a moment to address that, you know, some of the negative social media posts regarding our scientists are completely unfounded and unfortunate. And we do support our weed scientists and our agronomists 100%. They have excellent research and education programs. And that's what we're in the business of, is research and education. So with that said, maybe I'm the only one, you know, on this call, but Sam, can you share the information, wherever the information that you have on the label? Where did that come from? Because I can't find anything on the internet.
I can speak to that, Mr. Slayton, or I can speak to how it came to our attention. A representative from a manufacturer called a member of our staff and told them about it. That the label was changing. Basically, we gave them the details as to what it was going to change to, and that they were going to start changing their training material specific to Arkansas and the other 5 states. So where me and my staff first heard it break was not through EPA, but through a manufacturer. EPA still has not made an official announcement.
I think it would be a good information for the board, you know, just to have all the details. If there are other changes beyond the cutoff date, to make sure of exactly what is being voted on.
Nathan, I found what I was referring to, and I think that the social media, someone put it out on Twitter, but I don't know what that amounts to. It says both DT soybean and DT cotton are impacted in the following states: Arkansas, Illinois, Indiana, Iowa, and Nebraska. OTT dicamba application cutoff timing of June 12th or V4 and on soybeans, and first square on cotton, whichever comes first. Okay, we were at R1 and June 30th on up to something after first bloom on cotton. And I won't go on and read the rest. Everything else says South Dakota has a June 20th update. Minnesota has the same restrictions. We are not aware of any state changes for 2022. And that came from, I'm not sure. They came from the manufacturer, is what I just see now. I guess that was BASF, perhaps.
I knew there was what looked like maybe a slide from a presentation that was circulating on Twitter, but there was no company branding on the information, which is unusual. So I didn't know how much stock to put in, you know, what was shown there. Thank you for sharing that, Sam.
Yeah, this is Wade. The same information, what Mr. Stuckey's reading from, that is from a slide from a training presentation from one of the manufacturers that was sent to us as well. That's the exact same information we have. And I'd also like to echo Dr. Slayton's comments and just say that there's been some speculation out there that the recommendation of a June 12th cutoff date came from this department, and I just want to make sure everyone understands that that is absolutely incorrect. Thank you.
Mr. Chairman, I don't understand why they're wanting to cut it back to June the 12th. I don't understand that. Why?
I think, Mr. Alford, I think that's left a lot of us with some questions. It's unfortunate that they haven't at least let us in the loop a little bit farther or earlier in the game as to why or what the science is now that's changed. I mean, obviously, I think it's always shown that spraying later into the summer months or cause more off-target movement through volatility. I mean, that science is there. I don't know what's changed about it other than maybe they're finally trying to admit that there's some truth to it. They've seemed to have denied it for several years now. So yeah, I just, my first thought is, why haven't there been more discussion and more transparency in what the manufacturers and the EPA are seeing or thinking? And this to be kind of thrown at us last minute and need to make a decision in a hurry, it puts us in a bind. So anyway, I think it's gonna be up to the board to decide what we want to do, and I think the discussion comments valid, and we can continue. So it looks like Reynold has a comment, so go ahead, Reynold.
All right, let me get unmuted. I hear what Dr. Slayton saying, and I think I agree. When he says, are those the only changes? What else is in there? I would not be in favor of making a change if we don't know exactly what we're changing to. I don't want to pass it to find out what's in it. And I would.
We lost you, Mr. Meyer, if you can hear us.
Strictly on his end.
Travis has his hand up. You're gonna go ahead and go to him.
Yeah, it looks like we lost Reynold for a minute. Looks like Travis, Mr. Senator, do you have comments? So your hand raised, go ahead.
Yeah, we left that last meeting talking about, more enforcements and being able to enforce the rules we have. You start changing, growth stages and, these date back, you're gonna open yourself up to even harder to find enforcement problems. So I don't think I think it's not knowing what we're voting on really is kind of a moot point. So that's my thought.
Thank you, Travis. Reynold, are you gone or back? I don't see him.
They completely off. We moved him over from most of the other.
Yeah.
Yeah, we did. So we're at the point that we again. There he
Matt,
is.
while you're trying to get Reynold back on, again, I just, want to be clear that, if the date is the only thing that's really changed, then I think you're fine to vote on it. But if there's other information, I think it would be good that the board be fully informed.
And I guess as this is Ken Korth as a follow-up, I mean I guess the initial information was received and then, but I guess, so this, the fact that we're here to vote today on the June 12th opt-in, I mean, that information came from EPA, I guess, right? Is just one question. And I'll just, to follow up on something you said, Matthew, I mean, I think it's certainly to my knowledge, the science has not changed on any of this. It hasn't changed since 2018 when it was several months earlier than June 30th. So I'll just throw that out there. But I guess I am curious again, because it seems like we're all wondering where this information came from and really to vote on it without all stakeholders even knowing, what about this or what the conditions exactly are is a bit strange. So yeah, anyway, I'll stop there.
So I can answer a little bit of that, Dr. Korth. So we went into before Christmas in these discussions with EPA that again, we were asked to keep very confidential, that the last word we got before Christmas was that they were still in discussion with the manufacturers. Well, apparently one manufacturer made this proposal And EPA informed them they were not willing to make label changes unless all three manufacturers were on board. They wanted to keep all labels consistent. So we went into before Christmas. The last word I had where they were still in discussion. And then it broke last week from a manufacturer that called my staff. And then this slide started circulating and then social media exploded. So that's when we contacted EPA and they said, oh yeah, by the way, we're gonna roll labels out in a couple of weeks. So.
Yeah, that's it just seems to be a really strange process. In all, just the no transparency, quick decision, put us in a bad spot, I think, and to have more discussion, more informed discussions about what is going on. So, does anyone have any more comments or questions? I see Reynolds back.
Mr. Chairman, this is Pam. Oh, was Reynolds about to speak?
Go ahead. I can follow you.
I was just gonna say, if we're sure, I think the only way we can vote is vote to reject this June 12th and keep what we have. And I'm agreeing with Dr. Slayton that if we agree on the 12th, we don't know what else we're agreeing on. So, and that was my thought, that we should be able to do that, but we shouldn't do the 12th. And I'll turn it over to you, Reynolds.
Well, I don't think it's going to change my opinion about whether we should accept this new label or not. My question would be for Wade and Scott. I think I heard Wade say that we had to opt into it. Who, I'm assuming the EPA, but don't want to assume, who were we supposed to opt in with, and when were they supposed to have told us? And now at this point, can we opt out?
Well, the EPA wants to know what the state of Arkansas's position is. And you can certainly tell the EPA that you want to opt out. Scott may have further conversations with them, about whether they will include us in the earlier cutoff or not. But when were we told that we were supposed to do that? The answer is that we were not. We were just told that we were in that group of 5 because there was not a specific objection from Arkansas. And so that's why we had to hurriedly convene this meeting.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay, Wade, I have a question. I'd like for you to define opt-in or opt-out so we know how we're voting. Is opt-in keeping?
Yeah, Sam,
opt-out keeping the 30th?
I think I can address this easily, Sam. Your motion was to not accept the EPA's recommended earlier cutoff date of June 12th. So that's a motion. So if the motion passes, then we would let the EPA know that state of Arkansas specifically does not agree with the June 12th cutoff date. So because the way you worded your motion was a good way to do it. It's pretty straightforward and easy to understand.
Okay, thank you. I just didn't want to vote the wrong way or have my motion being exactly opposite of what we intend.
So members of the board, when there is a call for the vote, if you vote for the motion, you would be voting to not accept the June 12 cutoff date in Arkansas. And then staff here at the department would immediately inform the EPA of your decision.
Thank you, Wade. Are there any more comments, or are we ready to vote? Anyone else have anything farther to?
I've got one more question, Bruce.
Yes, sir.
Did we have more complaints this year or less complaints, or what did we have?
complaints were down somewhat this year. Last 2-3 years in a row, they were in the low 500s. This year, they were in the 400s, but I don't have those exact numbers in front of me, but they were down some this year.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Bruce. Anyone else have any further comments, questions? Okay, hearing none, I guess we've just heard the motion from Mr. Sam restated to not opt into the June 12th cutoff. And it was seconded by Mr. David Gamble. Is that what Wade?
That's correct.
Okay. I'll just have a roll call vote. So yes is to opt out and to keep our current regulations. The yes vote. Mr. Bruce Alford.
Yes.
Mr.
Wait a minute,
David Gamble.
wait a minute, Matthew, excuse me. You were not clear on that. So a yes is voting
A
in
yes
favor.
is for your motion to
Thank you,
not accept the June 12th cutoff date.
thank you.
Mr. Bruce Alford voted yes. Mr. David Gamble.
David Gamble votes yes.
Mr. Reynolds.
Gotta find the unmute. I vote yes, that we keep our June 30th cutoff.
Mr. Matt Miles.
I vote yes, that we keep our June 30th cutoff.
Mr. Nathan Reed.
I vote yes.
Mr. Travis Center.
This Travis Center. Yeah, March 30th.
And Mr. Sam Stuckey.
Let me unmute. This is Sam Stuckey. I vote yes to keep the June 30th along with our other rules.
Thank
Matthew, we could not understand Mr. Center. Could you tell us how he voted, or Mr. Center let us know how he voted?
Mr. Center, can you restate your vote?
Yeah, Travis Center. I vote yes to keep our June 30th.
Thank you. Okay, that's unanimous to accept Mr. Sam's motion to not accept the June 12th cutoff. I guess that kind of takes care of the business of what we wanted to do today. Anything else from staff or the board? Any discussion?
Could we take this one step further and could I propose that we send back to the EPA our current voted upon cutoff date and regulations, that maybe it could be put on the federal label? Is that a possibility that we could just pass a resolution for that?
And I think we could pass any resolution. I don't know, depending on what they do with it, but sure, I think we could.
I mean, what's everybody else think about that?
I didn't understand the question.
Yeah, Nathan, I don't know our regulations in total, or with our buffers and all those things specific to the state are I think a little bit more specific than the federal label. I don't know how much change it would be exactly for the federal label.
Well,
to come in line with the Arkansas regulations. That may be something we need to look at. Definitely can.
If they're going to have on the federal label a cutoff date for certain states, since we voted on and passed it as a plant board, why not get that incorporated into the federal label?
Yeah,
rather than it being a state label. I think it might help with enforcement some if it's
federal,
if it's on there as a federal label and some other issues.
Don't have any objection to that at all. Any comment from staff on doing something like that?
If you guys want to take up that resolution, we'll certainly pass it on to EPA and the manufacturers. It will be up to them, I think, to have that discussion.
Sure.
Mr. Chairman,
Go ahead.
this is Reynold Meyer. We can take up that resolution. Why not just in our response to the EPA, where we are telling them we do not want to change to the June 12th and whatever new changes they may have in mind, we include a copy of our regulations and say, we don't want June 12th. This is what we've got, and this is working for us.
Yeah, we can do that. Working for us is a pretty broad stroke. I don't know how well it's working, but we can do that.
I think it
Mr.
would give a
Chairman,
little more
this-
teeth.
It's
I
unique
think
to brag
a little
about
more teeth
because
to-
400 complaints is not worth bragging about.
Yeah, I think you're right, Mr. Ross.
But I do think it would give some more teeth to our state regulations if we could have it on the federal label.
The June 30th cutoff in Arkansas.
That's right.
Is what you're
What
saying.
the plant board have adopted rather than it being a state rule, essentially, it's a federal rule at that
It's on
point.
the federal level. Yeah.
Yeah.
No, that's, it has some credence to do that. So do we have, you make a motion that way, Mr. Reed?
I guess I would make a motion that in the response to the EPA to this matter, that we would include the restrictions and cutoff date that the Arkansas Plant Board has voted on and passed for dicamba, and recommend that this is what we would like to see on the federal label for the state of Arkansas.
Mr. Chairman, I'll second that.
Okay, second by Mr. Stuckey. And I just wrote down there quickly, maybe Wade might have a better way to say it, just the motion, for Mr. Reed, to include Arkansas rules, regulations on the federal label. Is that what everyone heard?
Mr. Chairman, this is Bruce. Can I ask a question?
Yes, sir.
If we ended up with 1,000 complaints next year, aren't we going to be proud of leaving all this on the label, what we just discussed and come up with? And that way you're pretty well hung and not able to make a change. Sounds like to me.
Well, that may be true as well, Mr. Alford. I think we have the ability to change ours as we see fit, as long as we're not less restrictive than the federal.
We should be able
label.
to, we have attorneys on here, but we should always be able to restrict federal law.
Right.
So I explained to somebody it's why you can't buy beer in Arkansas on a Sunday. Because state law can generally be more restrictive than federal law, other than interstate commerce or something like that. So,
Right. So I think we would still have the ability to change going forward, even if we ask for our current regulations on the federal level. If we wanted to be more restrictive, I guess we couldn't change to be less restrictive.
Mr. Chairman, I just want to see if I can clarify a little bit. So the motion is to recommend to the EPA or request the EPA that the Arkansas rule be adopted as a federal label for Arkansas only. And so I think that would encompass not just our cutoff date, but any other requirements we have. Just want to make sure that that is the motion.
Yes, that's the way I understand the motion. Mr. Reed's nodding his head the way he made the motion. So I think that's right. Any more discussion on that motion?
This is David Gamble. I just don't see where we need to be restrictive. I understand the point about wanting to put some teeth and want to make our rules what's the word I'm looking for, where, you know, they would have some backbone to them. But I just think the more we put on the EPA and the more we do with them and the more restrictions is going to cause us problems down the road.
I think you're right.
Well, that's a fair comment, and I think I said that the board can take this up or not. I think Mr. Reed's idea was to maybe have a little more clarity and in line with federal label, which could have some value, or we can stay with what we have with just the Arkansas regulations. Doesn't really change the rules either way, I don't think. Just anyone else have any question or comments on the motion? Hearing none, we'll go ahead and take a roll call vote. Mr. Bruce Alford,
No.
Mr. David Gamble,
No.
Mr. Reynold Meyer,
No.
Mr. Matt Mile,
No.
Mr. Nathan Reed,
Yes.
Mr. Travis Center,
No.
Mr. Sam Stuckey.
Yes.
Okay, I think I've got 6 no's and 2 yeses. Motion failed.
I think we have 5 no's.
5, I'm counting myself. That's 5 and 2, sorry. Thank
And
you.
2 yeses, that's what I,
That's right, 5 and 2. so.
That's
Okay,
fine.
any other business or discussion for today?
No, sir, not from staff.
Okay, thank you, Scott. And thank everyone for jumping on at a quick notice, and we'll reconvene in March.
is that March 9th?
That's
Check
correct.
That's March 9th.
Yes. March 9th.
That's still working for everybody, 9:30? Do we work out any, conflicts we had? I know there's some that may have had a conflict or two. We're still on for that date.
I'm good with it.
Okay, so I'm not hearing any objections, so, okay, well, I'll call the meeting adjourned, and we'll see y'all March 9th, if not before.
Thanks, everybody.
All right.
Thank you.
Good to see everybody.